Welcome back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Aidan,
And I'm Casey.
and we're here to recap a disappointing yet predictable yet heartbreaking loss to the Carolina Chaos in overtime at the hands of Harvard's own Teddy Malone, who had at this point in his young career, a career game against the Cannons. Um, yeah, Casey, what were your initial thoughts watching this game?
I didn't think it was predictable. I
I'm glad you had more faith in them than I did.
absolutely. Um, I I was on the edge of my seat, that's for sure.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I didn't I thought it could go either way. Um, in overtime, I will say I aside from just being disappointed, right, that we obviously didn't take the win. I didn't think that it was going to be over as quick as it was.
Yeah. I don't think
Um,
anyone did.
that that part, that last play, like for a Cannons fan, like that sucked.
Yeah.
Um, I think I yelled at the TV, like audibly yelled at the TV when that happened. I was like, I can't believe that just happened. But yeah, I mean, I thought we were probably going to take it. We were on our like little winning streak there, which was great, awesome. If anything, hey, like that shows the fire that we have and that we can do it. Not that I really had any doubt, but it's been a rough season, of course. Um, and then the chaos, we're not doing so hot. So I didn't think it was predictable at all. I really thought we were going to go four straight.
Yeah. So the only reason I say predictable is
I'm just giving you a hard time.
yeah, no. It's because Blaze Reardon is in my head. Like, so the only time I believe the Cannons have ever beaten the Chaos is that game from 2024, which went to overtime, where Ryan Drenner, so basically Matt Campbell hits a shot, gets a shot from like just inside the 2 point line. It bounces off Blaze's chest, and Drenner like golf shots it in while he's diving, and it like just gets over the line. And then they meet a couple weeks later in the playoffs, and the Cannons lose 8-4. And and then the Cannons, like Blaze doesn't even play most of the first game for the Cannons this season. He goes out with, I guess, a concussion in the first half, and the Cannons lose 14-10. It just feels
Chaos.
sorry, yeah, the Cannons lose. Yeah, I think that's the Chaos beat the Cannons 14-10.
Oh, I know. I remember what game we're talking about now. Okay,
Yeah,
my
in
bad.
Rhode
Yeah,
Island.
go ahead. Yeah.
Um, where it just feels like uh, I think I even said this to Matt Campbell the next day. Like, I joke, like, I don't know if Blaze is in your head as much as he is in mine. Like, they just can't. I mean, they did score on him, right? Like, it was 8-8 at halftime. But,
Yeah.
we're talking about, and this is, again, like, wish the best for Justin Inacio. Hope he's okay. Like, I'm sure that was not intentional by
Yeah.
Grant trying to injure him. But you got to figure Inacio went out with some kind of head injury. So, because he does
Mm.
take kind of a late-ish hit from Owen Grant, who's a big guy. Inacio's head hits the ground and he does not come back in for the rest of the game, even though he's up and about, he's walking around on the sideline. So you got to figure, it's not a lower body injury for sure. Uh,
Hmm.
or like I almost think that might have gone against the Cannons, right? Like, so Inacio goes down, and you basically think like, all right, we can basically just lock up the face-off for the Cannons for the rest of the game. And I mean,
Hmm.
the small part of me was stoked because I had McMeekin on my fantasy team in the PLL, and he was far and away the best performer of the faceoff specialists this weekend. And I do think against everyone else in the league, like maybe the Cannons win this game because they just have so much more possession, and I don't think any goalie can get inside your head or is inside the Cannons' heads like Blaze. And you even see like there was one faceoff that Scarpello won right at the start of or I guess there were technical difficulties where we kind of missed the first minute or two of the second half, where the Cannons scored. But then right after that, Scarpello wins a faceoff, and McMeekin thinks he violated, so he kind of doesn't react right away.
Right.
Gives the Chaos an odd man break, and they score on that. And if that break doesndon't happen, the Cannons, win in regulation, right? Because it's 12-11 instead
Yeah.
of 12. And I don't know. I feel like having an advantage like that for more than three quarters of the game, right? Because Ignacio went out in the first quarter. It
Hmm.
kind of lets, and I'm not saying anyone on the Cannons obviously consciously did this, but
Hmm.
you almost like feel like the game's in the bag where you're like, oh, we're gonna win every possession. And let me just pull up the exact number, but I feel confident saying this is McMeekin's best game of his career. Yeah, 23 of 28, 82.1%. Um,
Yeah.
did also get an assist to Holman.
Hmm.
So yeah, like when you have numbers like that, for that to be tied at halftime, I feel like that's when I started thinking like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna go as well because
Hmm.
against the Atlas if well yeah against the Atlas if Baptiste had been in the lineup and then gotten hurt in the first quarter, Cannons are up by three at least at halftime versus what we saw in Fairfield, they were down by three.
Hmm.
Like the only reason the Atlas were up at halftime in that game was because Baptiste had won almost all the faceoffs up until that point, and then McMeekin even it out a little bit in the second half. Um, and I think same thing, right? Like they beat the Redwoods with the Cannons losing the a little bit more than half of the faceoffs. They they lose to the Whip Snakes when Tucci was still in the lineup, winning like 40% of the faceoffs. Um,
So
so
let me ask you something.
yeah,
So with us winning 82% of the face-offs, right? But us losing, tell me, where you think we were losing it.
yeah. Um, so I think well, like I said, I think Blaze is just is just in
Yeah.
the head where
He's phenomenal.
yeah, you just
Like,
don't feel the same shooting against him as you do even against like I mean, I would put Brett Dobson right at his tier, and I think he's
hmm.
goal of the year at this point. And this is not to shortchange Blaze or anything that he's done, but just like the defense that Utah's putting up is like historically good.
Yeah.
Um, but I think both teams game planned for the other well, but I think the Chaos has executed it a little bit better, where especially with Rowlett being down, and
Hmm.
it sounds like Rowlett is going to make a recovery and
Hmm.
might even play again this year. But it certainly seems like he'd play again next year, which is a huge relief. Um, but you got to think advantage Cannons, right? And even in that 8-4 loss that the Cannons had in 2024, Jack Rowlett was suspended for that game and didn't play either. But I think the Chaos were ready for the Cannons to beat their one-on-one matchup and pass to the crease, and then they were just ready to crash down on that guy. Like the number of times I saw a pass either be dropped or missed, or for a guy to like catch it and immediately have it checked out of his stick on the crease, I mean, it felt astronomical. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, looking, Weissar had three turnovers, Holman had one, Brian Kelly had five, which is, I mean,
Yikes.
astronomical numbers. McMeekin had two. Again, I won't necessarily fault him for that. Maxey had two. I mean, and Maxey's another thing we can talk about. I mean, the turnover numbers for the Cannons versus probably what they should be. And
Hmm.
a couple of those are shot clock violations. It's never going to be zero. I'm fine with that. But it felt like, the Cannons were playing in a lot of short clock situations. And I mean, that's what the Cannons had been like on the other side of that. And they mentioned that on the broadcast that they were basically content to lose the faceoff try to play good defense for 32 seconds, and then work back with 52. And I think they did a good job in the first half because I think in the first quarter when it's a 50-50 battle and you put a pole and a D mid on the wing, kind of standard practice, I think that the Cannons had done well and they were up 5-4 at the end of the first quarter. And then Ignacio goes down and then the Cannons plan to win every faceoff going forward. The Chaos plan to lose every faceoff going forward. I think maybe it's just a case of the Cannons not being ready to play that type of offense and that type of game, and the
Mm,
Chaos being more ready for it. Uh,
hmm.
or at the very least, I think every team is, the Chaos are basically putting their regular complement out there, right? Like they're having obviously not Inacio, but they're having Scarpello. I know took a lot, and I think Ty English took the other majority. And then they're having presumably Troy Ray. They're having an LSM and another D mid on the wing. Yeah, it was Scarpello, English, and Dearth took four. So they're having their regular guys out there to defend a 32-second possession. And
Yeah.
then the Cannons, I know they had Connor Kirst out there for a bunch. I think they had Rigneri. And I think they even did the strategy of having a midfielder down on the defensive end so that when McMeekin it pinches and pops and passes to whoever's on the wing, that he can
Hmm.
stay on the defensive side, the midfielder comes up. Like I think that's just not a strategy they were ready for.
Yeah.
And even though I think in principle every team knows kind of how to do that,
Hmm.
because we know how to do that, and we're not professional lacrosse players or coaches. It's still just difficult to adjust to that in practice. Where someone like, again, this is not the best example for the year they're having, but the Atlas with Trevor Baptiste are very ready to win a face-off battle handily, and
Mm,
manage that 32 seconds. And like particularly in the third quarter, it just felt like they'd win a face-off or they'd win the face-off, they'd like take a quick shot. Like somehow it still felt like the Cannons were playing way more defense than the Chaos in the third quarter, even though the Cannons were winning every face-off. Uh,
mm,
And again, I mean, this is exactly what that rule of the 32-second shot clock and the no poles taking fest of like this is exactly what that is there for. Because I think if there was a 52-second clock, like the Cannons probably win this game. But then on the flip side, they probably lose the game against the Atlas, right? Because the Atlas would just be able to kill so much more time.
hmm.
But like, I mean, and it's really hard to say that the Cannons lost this game because they won every face-off. But at the same, like, and I think Blaze Raiden was a bigger factor. But I also think Blaze Reardon just played a factor in how they played that face-off
Hmm.
battle, or how they played the game once they knew they were going to win the face-off. 'Cause, like, I mean, you also just got to look at the save numbers, right? Like, I got Colin Kirst made 13 saves, or sorry, 12 saves, 13 scores against, which is 48% below 50 on the year, which he's been. And Blaze, uh,
64%.
yeah, 20 saves. I mean, there was a good chunk of the game where they had the same number of goals, but Blaze Reardon had like twice as many saves. And like, all right, well, there's the reason this game is still in the balance. Like, in addition to everything I said about the turnover battle and the Cannons not being ready to win faceoffs.
Hmm. Also, one thing that, you know, I saw is Mackesy, they were able to hold Mackesy to a big fat zero. I think I read that he had 7 shots, but was 0 out of 7.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's obviously like Mackesy went into this game with what being the leader in the league for points. So that was huge that they were able to do that. Very fortunate for them, very unfortunate for us. Um, but what were you going to say?
um, yeah, I mean, similar thing that the attack versus defense matchup. we'd
Hmm.
see go two very different ways versus how it went in this game. I feel I don't even remember who was on McAfee as the primary defender for most of the game.
I don't remember either. I was trying to remember.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like polarity because I remember a couple of weeks ago hearing Ryder Garnsey mic'd up that Henry Bard, the rookie from Duke, was on him, who was undrafted, and Garnsey saying like, I don't say this often, but this guy cannot guard me, so I'm gonna go at him a lot. And
Mm,
Bard gave up nothing against the Cannons versus Will Donovan giving up nothing against Pat Kavanaugh, Chris Kavanaugh, Connor Schellenberger, and then getting absolutely torched by Teddy Malone, who's an undrafted rookie from Harvard. And we saw Teddy Malone had a great career at Harvard. We both saw him in person a couple of times.
yeah.
He had great games, and I know we talked to Kevin from Inside Lacrosse, who
Hmm.
was not entirely sold on Malone as a pro prospect, and he's had some up and downs, but
Hmm.
I know it makes you think about that like familiarity factor where Notre Dame, I don't know that they have ever played Harvard, so maybe advantage versus obviously Donovan would have gone against the Kavanaughs a lot in practice,
Hmm.
and would have seen Schellenberger on film tape a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and Henry Bard probably would have seen McAfee a lot as well. Both Ivy League or sorry, Bard was a Duke guy, but Princeton and Duke being kind of towards the top. I can't recall
Hmm.
off the top of my head if they played each other, or how many times they would have played each other over the course of their college careers.
Yeah.
Um, but it felt like that was certainly something that I did not expect going into this game, and somewhat of
Hmm.
an equalizing factor is the chaos completely neutralizing McAfee
Hmm.
and only 1 point for Brian Kelly as well at X
Yeah.
versus 6 points for Teddy Malone, including the OT winner. And I won't say
Yeah.
that OT winner that was not on Will Donovan at all, right? Like, and that's a separate thing. Like Owen Hiltz is, I don't know, 4'3". How do you not pass it over his head?
I
Um,
know. Yeah. He goes to pass it, and Hiltz was just right there, right time, like just extends his stick out and it goes right into the
all right,
into
and
his
it's
stick.
because it's not a hard pass. Like I watched a replay of it today,
Yeah.
and it's a like a 10 yard 12-yard, 13-yard pass at
Yeah.
most. Like it is easy to get that over his head and to Rigneri, who
Hmm.
is like again 6 feet tall, and you can pass it over Rigneri's head by a foot and a half, and he'll still be able to reach up or jump up and catch it.
Yeah.
Versus Owen Hiltz, who more realistically is like 5'6", 5'7",
Hmm.
and extend that by 3 feet maybe. No, I guess more than 3 feet because the stick would be three and a half plus
Hmm.
his arm. Like, I mean I think that speaks to kind of the effort the Cannons had, where it feels
Mm.
like they should win the game. Maybe they thought they were going to win the game based on Ignacio going out, and like we talk about the Tucci game right against Philadelphia, where Tucci wins that faceoff going forward, because the Water Dogs didn't have a faceoff specialist. They didn't have Southicus yet at the time. And like there was no doubt in anyone's mind that McMeekin was going to win that faceoff, but he gets pushed back, which I also didn't love, and then just the laziness to
Mm.
to not get it over Hiltz's head. It's like if you don't get it over Cole Kastner's head, I'll forgive you. You don't get it over Owen Hiltz's head, like that's not because of
Yeah.
lack of trying, right? Like that's because of lack of effort. Or rather,
Mm.
that is because of lack of trying. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
Teddy Malone, just the beneficiary of basically 4-on-3. Um,
yeah.
but even before then, like he took Donovan to the rack a couple of times. 4 goals, two
Hmm.
assists. That is, again, I think a little bit of part of us is gonna root for him as a Harvard guy. Obviously, not against the Cannons, but. got to be a really cool day for him. I mean, anytime you score an overtime winner in a game at any
Hmm.
level has got to be awesome, but especially at the professional level.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he had a great game.
Yeah,
As much as it sucks to like uh, say that about a player from the team that beat us. But yeah,
yeah,
he he had a really good game.
yeah.
Um, Speaking of somebody who is a rookie,
Mm.
let's talk real quick. I'm tired of talking about
Yep.
the chaos is flowers. Um, for a second, let's go back to the Cannons. Ip got his first ever career goal.
Yes.
Yay. Shout out to him. That's super exciting. Finally got on the board. That was really good to see. And I am hoping that that's going to give him like this big boost in confidence. He's here for a reason. He got on the team for a reason, right? So yeah, hopefully we're going to see that kind of ignite something in him there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I still feel like, I mean, and this is a huge, like, it's a validation for him, for Coach
Mm-hmm.
Holman, where I did see, on Instagram today, the Cannons post, they're going to be honoring the Tufts National Championship team at halftime on, I think it was on the 8th, so on the second day. So I don't know if Regnery will be participating in that ceremony, but I think
I
obviously,
certainly would hope.
yeah, and like obviously Jack Regnery is going to be in the Cannons lineup that weekend because how could he
Yeah.
not be?
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like this gives some good justification towards you want Logan Ip to be in that lineup, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think all four other midfielders that were listed, being, Hogg and Connor Kirst, Mikey Weissar, Jack Regneri, like, you can't justify taking them out of the lineup. If Matt Campbell's healthy, I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
I hope he is for
yeah,
homecoming.
I hope so too. But like
Yeah.
you can't keep Matt Campbell out of the lineup for Logan Ip, but
Right.
like it. Assuming he's not, or maybe like if the Cannons win that first game and they're able to, like, they know they're in the playoffs, or the two or the three, which genuinely does not really matter for the
Hmm.
PLL standings, then you're able to put Ib in the lineup because you figure he's going to have a lot of, I know Jerry Burns is going to be the head coach at Harvard. You got to figure he's going to have a lot of Harvard teammates there as well. But he
Yeah.
looked more confident in this lineup going forward. Yeah, I know he'd been out for I don't even know how many weeks at this point. But I know he was not in Rhode Island. Um, I want to say it had just been 2 games so far. Let me just pull that up real quick. Yeah, June 6th against the Water Dogs, June 27th against the Redwoods, which I think was in California, and then July 20. So basically a month since his last game. He didn't look rusty. Um, I think, yeah, with how Mick Kelly had a really strong start and then maybe suffered with Campbell being out of the lineup, and Kelly kind of being the primary dodger and initiator had
Hmm.
kind of suffered. It was maybe, good to give him a rest, good to give Ip another look, and I think Ip showed it. I still don't know that he's a primary dodger, but I think,
Right.
um, you know, if Holman retires or Regnier moves down to attack, or if someone else comes out of the lineup, I think still you want probably obviously Campbell as your primary dodger initiator at the midfield position, and then
Hmm.
put Ip or Kelly behind that. I think is still great. You just hope he gets more comfortable and confident as it goes along.
Hmm.
Obviously, he had the protection of his college teammate in Teddy Malone, but we'll hope a game like that is still coming for him in the future.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
Also, just another milestone that we're tracking. Holman with 2 more goals, with a 1 and a 2, and that puts him 15 away from tying the all-time record with now what 3 games to go. So it it does seem unlikely. I mean, he's been pretty regularly getting 2 goals a game,
Hmm.
and I'm sure, like, I certainly would take him not breaking the record for the Cannons to win the championship this year. I'm sure he would say the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, 15 goals in. We'll say 4 games because I really want to believe the Cannons are going to have at least one playoff game.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you
Yeah.
wish those 2 point goals counted as 2 goals. He'd be a lot closer
I
to,
know.
yeah, because he's got I want to say like 17 in the PLL.
Hmm.
I don't even know how many more in the MLL as well. Um, yeah.
Well,
Well, I
speaking of, oh, go ahead.
no. I was like Paul Rabel, who he's trying to pass, had a good number of 2 point goals as well. So that might actually not help
True.
him out that much.
I was gonna say, speaking of playoffs, let's talk about standings really quick. So we are still third in Eastern Conference. Uh, thank God for the score differential.
Yep. Um,
Atlas is negative 21,
yeah.
right?
I mean, what a weekend for Philly, and what a not weekend for Denver. The first team
Yeah.
not to win a game at homecoming. It's been
Hmm.
really interesting how that has gone the 3 years. Kind of similar to Champ Series, where like teams figuring out the strategy for it, or
Hmm.
um, not strategy per se, but just like the recovery. Like I think the first year is like 3 teams went 1-1, one team went 0-4. No, I don't. But like it was very split. And then last year, a bunch of teams went 0-2, and only a couple teams went 1-1. This year, a bunch of teams winning the second day. And obviously Philly playing New York, or Philly playing Denver, which was the second game for both teams in 2 days. Philly winds up winning. Denver just lays an absolute egg, where they go from 4-3 to 4-5. Utah looks unbeatable.
I, what in the world is in the water that they're giving them?
Yeah.
Because what the heck?
I
Listen,
know.
that was
I
not on my bingo card at
Going
all.
into this game, like I think we all knew Dobson was good. We knew
Yeah.
Lavelle was good. We knew Warren Jeffrey. Like we knew the defense was good. We knew Tony Resch had
Hmm.
coached like 8 of the top 10 defenses in PLL history or in lacrosse history, including the MLL. But like I would have said when they lost their first game like 9-5, and then they won their second game. Was it 10-7 or 9-7? And then I just remember that like Maryland winning their homecoming game against Utah 8-5. I would have been like, oh yeah, that's the type of game Utah's going to play in the whole year. And instead, they're scoring like mid to upper teens every game. Like they beat Denver 18-8. They beat Maryland 13-8 on like a back to back. They beat Philly 18-8. They beat New York 16-5. O'Keefe,
Did you see their score differential?
yeah, plus 32.
What?
And
What?
then they're 6-4. It's because they lost games early in the year, right? Like they lost to California 9-5, their first game. We're like,
Mm,
oh yeah, this tracks. And Dylan Ward had a great game that game. I'm not taking anything away
mm.
from California, but like they were just figuring out how to score. They couldn't score, and now all of a sudden O'Keefe is like prime Mac O'Keefe. Connor Fields is prime, like back at he's back at the University of Albany.
Hmm.
Ryan Steins
UA?
is the steal of the draft. Uh,
Yeah.
like Ryan Steins versus Silas Richmond. Like Richmond at 5, I think he has 1 goal in 3 games, and he's been a healthy scratch. Versus Ryan Steins, like I don't know how you couldn't vote for him for Rookie of the Year at this point.
Mm, yeah.
I gotta check his exact like his full point total, but I mean, he's averaging, I want to say at least like 3 points a game. And so, I mean, yeah, we'll preview the Cannons game against the Archers later in the
I'm a
week.
little nervous. I
I'm
will
more than
be
a little.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if I feel like us going against the Archers this coming weekend, I mean, we have to beat them.
Yeah. I mean, the the
for so
advantage,
many reasons
yeah,
too.
the advantage is certainly that New York obviously is several is only one game behind us, really, right? Like
Yeah.
they're 3-6, Boston's 4-5. So if New York wins, Boston loses, they're both 4-6. Obviously, Boston has the advantage of the goal differential. New York
Yeah.
being -21, Boston +1.
Yeah.
But you do not want that to be a factor because
No.
because Boston can eliminate. No, they can't technically eliminate, but they can essentially eliminate New York. Because if Boston wins, New York loses. Then Boston's at 5-5, New York's at 3-7. So technically, if Boston loses both their homecoming games, New York wins both their homecoming games. New York could squeak in, but then New York would need to make up like a 20 plus goal differential.
They're not going to do that. I'm not
Uh,
concerned. So,
they're not going to do that. So Boston essentially just needs to win one of their three remaining games um to make the playoffs.
mm,
But I mean, we know how the homecoming against these both these teams went last year, and California's on a little bit of a downward trend, but they got
yeah,
kind of a quasi homecoming for their coach Anthony Kelly this weekend. And I certainly don't want to bet on California losing to Boston, and I certainly don't want to bet on Maryland losing on well, Maryland's day one. I certainly don't want to bet on Maryland losing, period, after how that game, after how the game in Harvard went and how the game against Boston went earlier this year. Um, I mean, there's like if you can get a slide, or if Maryland can generate a slide against you, then they are going to win because they're going to pass the ball better than you can recover. And I mean, we saw that in Fairfield against California. We saw that against Boston. We've seen that in every single one of their wins. Um, and yeah, it's like you need Tony Resch and you need like all the defensive personnel, the archers, to slow Maryland down. Um,
hmm
so I don't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I feel like we covered pretty much
hmm
the Boston recap of Carolina and the weekend. So Boston is, what do we say? They're I would say solidly in third
hmm
because they crazily the Philadelphia Water Dogs at 6-3 still have a negative goal differential because of the two stinkers they've thrown up against um,
mm.
Boston and uh shoot, who else did they lose to by so big? It was it Utah? Yeah, oh yeah, Utah. So losing by 14 to Boston and by 10 to Utah. Um, Maryland 5-4 at +21. So I mean Boston has a shot at the two. That doesn't really I mean, it doesn't mean a lot in
hmm
the season standings except for Champ Series, which obviously Boston wants to make Champ Series. Um, and let's just okay, yeah, Boston is in fourth overall because they have a better goal differential than Denver, and California is still 4-4.
hmm
Um, yeah, I mean, Boston, it would take they basically have to go winless for them not to make the playoffs at this point, which is certainly possible, but not what we're hoping for.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we can wrap it here unless you have something else you want to add.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll take solace in this. The Chaos are still outside of the playoff picture because of their score differential. 4-5
hmm
with -14, California 4-4 with -11. So fingers crossed if Boston makes the playoffs, if Boston makes the championship game, the least likely opponent they would have to face is Carolina. And thank goodness for that because I do not have any confidence in anyone's ability to put the ball past Blaze Reardon. Um,
Yeah,
I don't have confidence in
yeah.
the ability to put it past Brett Dobson either, but that is a task for this coming week, and we will see.
Yes.
Um, I
8:30 p.m. Eastern Time,
Yep,
ESPN Plus.
out in Columbus, Ohio.
Hmm.
I think that's going to be really cool. I do think Ohio is going to get a team eventually when the PLL
Mm,
expands. I feel like it's going to be the Chicago Chrome and the Ohio Machine are going to come back, um, which I'm excited for. I think that'll be really cool. Hopefully, we get a good crowd. I think the last time they went was like 23 or 24. Uh,
hmm.
and I think it was a good crowd there. So I'm excited. Ohio State's got a pretty good program. Big Ten loves their
Yeah.
sports. So we'll preview that in a little bit more detail later on this week.
Hmm.
See if the Cannons can stay above 500, eliminate those New York Atlas, and secure themselves a playoff spot before homecoming. But until then, go Cannons, go Guard.
Go Cannons, go Guard.
Boom.
Ooh.